Hey guys, today I am here with Kim Brooks from Inca Brands. So excited to learn more about this. I love the sweater you're wearing, so please tell me this is from your brand.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it is. It is. Inca brand stands for Incredible Natural Creations from Alpaca. And what I'm wearing is all made from 100% alpaca. Alpaca's having a moment. It's been having a moment. And when I first started, nobody knew what an alpaca was. Now everyone knows what they are, but they don't understand the alpaca to textile bit of the business. So
I would love to learn more about that. Yes.
yeah.
That's I think just sourcing in general, right, for
Right.
textiles and staying like the sustainable way or people understanding that we're not harming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there's a lot of husbandry, animal husbandry. It's funny, whenever I was in high school, you take those standardized achievement tests.
Yeah.
And mine came back and said, "Oh, great with animal husbandry." And I'm like, what a joke. And then flash forward 10 years, and I find myself on this farm in southern Butler County, and I'm getting kicked by horses and out getting stuck in the mud with cows, and we had pigs, and I thought, this farm's going to kill me. I grew up in the North Hills. My biggest thing was I'd go to the Ross Park Mall. So I was a mall chick. I was not a farm chick.
Right.
So we were driving home from church one day, and I saw this sign that said Alpaca Show. I said, ooh, let's go. And I had seen some advertisements for alpacas, and the entry into alpaca farming was really kind of interesting. And so we went, and I determined that these animals wouldn't kill me. So we decided to get a few alpacas and add it to our menagerie in our farm. And that was wonderful.
They're really cute.
They are adorable. And, everybody, they want to hug them and they want to love them. And they have a personality very much like a cat. They're on their terms. They will come to you when they're ready. And other than that, they want their food and they want their hay and they want their pasture and their friends. And they want to look at you from far.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very independent.
They're very independent, very independent. And they hum, which is wonderful. They go around the pasture and they go,
Oh, wow.
So yeah. But I got started with these animals, and my husband came home and said there had been a problem at work, and work was imploding and it was going away. And he suggested that I go and get a job. And so that's what I did. I went out and I started giving those standardized achievement tests that I talked about. Yes.
Full circle.
Number 2 pencils and everything. And so one day I came to him and I said, I think I could do something with the alpacas. I said, I think maybe I could start selling alpaca clothing. And he's like, really? I said, yeah. And he's like, well, what do you need? And so I borrowed $20,000 from his retirement. And he said, I want it back at the end of the year. I said, okay. So I met this guy. He had come to our farm just for a party. And I loved to garden. I was very organized, very meticulous with my gardens. And he said, oh man, I love what you're doing. Why don't we make sweaters together? I thought, well, that could be fun. He's like, I'm going to send you to Peru. I want you to find out everything there is to know about making alpaca sweaters. I have knitters in the Philippines and we can work together.
Wow.
So he bought me a ticket and I jumped on a plane by myself and flew to Peru. I was 37.
Wow. All by yourself?
All by myself, and I don't speak Spanish. And so there was an event going on down there. So there was other people. And while I was there, I started, I don't have trouble talking to people. So I started making some questioning and making some inroads, and I met this wonderful mill, and they were young and they were doing some pieces, and I thought, ooh, that's kind of interesting. And I started looking at what they had to offer, and I came home and I said, this is it. And he said, well, write a business plan. And I'm like, I've never written a business plan in my life. I was asked to leave high school 90 days before graduation. I graduated with a 1.25.
Oh my God.
Yes. My head was in extracurricular activities.
Oh yeah.
It was not in reading, writing, and arithmetic. So
A true visionary.
a true visionary, yes. I ended up going to school for travel and tourism because my parents knew that I needed something. I then ended up being a young bride and a young mom, and then he left. And I found out real quick I could not raise a child on travel and tourism industry. And it was like, what do I do next? So I got involved in sales. Sales is always the answer,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Because it's an open-ended kind of paycheck. And the harder you work, the more commissions you made. And so I started actually being able to sustain life for me and this young child. And so 7 years later, I remarried. And 7 years after that, we found ourselves at this juncture. My husband's business was closing, and I needed to find something. And so I wrote this business plan. The guy said, "Oh, this is a great business plan, but my business has changed and I need to spend more focus here. I can't do it, but I believe that you can. One step at a time. If you need any mentoring, I'm here." And so
You could have easily just quit.
I could have.
Yeah.
I could have, but I had worked my son's youth. Like, he, at this point he was 11, 12 years old, but he had been in daycare, and, I had to work, and sales often is not an 8-hour a day job.
No.
There's evening work, and there's calls, and there's staying up late. And so I wanted to be at home with him. And I thought, well, if I did something with these animals, I would be able to work from our farm. And so I set up a farm store where when people came to see, because, people would drive by and go, "What are those?" And then they would come and ask questions, and we'd give them the tour, and then they'd leave. And I thought, there's got to be a way to justify the time. And so I started buying things from people locally. But what I found was the South American people have absolutely stunning pieces. A lot of them don't translate to what the American buyer is looking for. They may be gorgeous, but the sizing's off. There's a bunch of different nuances that people look for, and mostly it's because we've been marketed to and we don't even realize we've been marketed to. So when we go into a different culture, it's like, oh, well, that's really cool, but I'm not sure how to wear it, and what do you do here and what do you do there?
Right.
So I started the shop, and I opened up at Ross Park Mall, which is our local big mall, back in 1999, right as Y2K. Everybody was like freaking out about
Right.
Y2K. And so we were doing education. We had videos of the animals, and then we had all this apparel and teddy bears and socks and great things. And the local newspaper came in and did an article. And when the article came out, people were coming with the newspaper underneath their arm. And we started doing sales, and it was wonderful. And a big part back then was we were raising breeding stock. And so we ended up selling some animals, and animals were very expensive then. They've really come down in price now, but we had this breeding stock that we were selling. And so we were able to turn a profit that very first year. And the only problem was the mall came and said, "Well, we'd love you to stay, but it's $5,000 a month." And at the time, Alpaca, and even now, it was perceived to be a cold weather staple. And while it shines in cold weather, it's really a 12-month staple because it's as insulating from the heat as it is insulating from the cold. When you see Arabs and they walk with the turbans, that's wool. And they wear it because it pulls moisture, it wicks, and it keeps them cooler in the long run. And alpaca functions in the very same fashion.
Oh, so does the alpaca itch like a wool?
It doesn't. This I can wear right next to my skin. There's no itch or irritation. Most people, if they find that they have an wool allergy, they're actually allergic to the lanolin within the textile itself of what wool is. And while alpaca is called alpaca wool, it has no, it's not related at all other than the warmth and the insulation factor. So there's no lanolin in it. And that's one of the reasons why it's so sustainable. Because with sheep's wool, you have to wash it in really hot water. It's called scouring, and heavy chemicals that break down that lanolin and remove it from each hair follicle. And you can't ever get all of it out, but you can get enough out that it can be spun into yarn. With alpaca, there is none of that. So we can use temperate water, we can use just regular soap. And now the mills that I work with, it's kind of like the car wash where they take the water and they recycle it underneath the car wash and bring it back out. So it's much more sustainable. It's not going into the environment. Those acids and chemicals used to break down the dirt don't go into the wastewater and pollute the environment.
Right.
So, and one of the things that we loved about the animals themselves were they were very gentle on the earth. They don't kill the grasses. And when they eat, they nip it off above the root structure so it regenerates. It's not where you have to do like cows and goats and even horses to some extent will rip out the grass. Then you have to do pasture rotation. So they were very easy to keep, but they were just so gentle on the earth that it made perfect sense to step into this. Yeah.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
And so your brand has been around for how long?
We started in 1997. We started with clothing and a store in 1999. But in the year 2000, my son said, "Hey, Mom, this internet thing's kind of taken off. Why don't you try an Alpaca online store?" And so we started in the year 2000 as a way of getting around that $5,000 a month rent at the mall.
Right.
And this way, if we only sold a little bit in the summer, it was okay. So we started with the URL Alpaca Unlimited because we didn't know what the heck we were doing. And so much of this is you don't have to know everything, right?
Right.
You just need to have some faith and some trust in the next step. Just the next step. I know I'm a faithful person, and over the course of time, that marriage dissolved. And my husband at one point said to my son, "I'll spend more money on your mother's business than it'll ever make." And that was a great thing to hear.
Yes.
Because, it sticks in the back of your mind. But God showed me a way. He showed me like the next step. And then, there was a little bit of a tap alongside the head. Why don't you look at this? Why don't you look at that? And, all of a sudden, here we are 26 years later. And, we have 5 different brand names, and we sell globally, and we wholesale, and we retail and distribute. It's become quite a thing. And that 11-year-old boy still works with me. We have a family business, and he has grandchildren, and their feet are all over our website because we don't want to put their faces on, but
right.
we can use their feet. We do socks, and we do apparel, and scarves and accessories. We do blankets and do teddy bears and fur products because the fur is the most wonderful, soft and luxurious, and it's a no-kill fur, which means that you can use it, you can wear it, you can put it in apparel items or make fun things for your house out of it without any guilt. Animals, alpacas are always their most highest value is being alive so that they can be shorn once a year. It's really important that they're shorn because they're carrying all this heavy wool on them, and without being shorn, they can die of heat stroke. Their natural environment is the Altiplano, and it's high above the tree line in South America, namely Chile, Peru, and Bolivia. And that's where they originated. And in the morning, it is 30 degrees. And in the afternoon, it's 80 degrees. And at night, it drops even lower than freezing. So this fur evolved on them so that it's exceptionally thermal, and it transitions, protecting them from the heat and from the cold. And that's what it does for us too. But it really supports those indigenous people there. And so it's been just, over the eons, there were no alpacas on the ark. Peruvians, or I should say Incan Indians, and that's why our name is Inca Brands, as a homage to the Incan Indians that bred these animals and came up with this creation. The DNA suggests that it was a vicuña and a guanaco that were bred together millennia ago that created this species that did not implode when they were bred to each other. And so it was kind of this selection type of thing. In Peru, it's called gold of the Andes, but it's also a treasured gift from God, is how the indigenous people feel about alpaca. And, you know, for me, I didn't grow up with a design aesthetic.
Right.
You know, I went to school for travel and tourism, and that didn't pan out. And I did computer sales for a while, but I had a natural affinity for interiors. And so I started putting together color and texture, and I knew whenever it evolved into apparel that this was something that I could do from an aesthetic point of view, but not from a traditional like cut and sew point of view. I didn't grow up as a knitter. I didn't grow up crocheting. But I found people in South America that were able to say, well, what do you like?
Right. Like take your vision. Right. And I think that's what's so empowering is you've navigated this all these years, right? You've had some moments where you easily could have said, nope, I'm going to walk away. I can't do this by myself, or I have a young child, but the determination was still there. And I think that's what really intrigues me, getting to know women in business.
Yeah.
Is being able to juggle so much in your life, but determined.
Yeah.
To make it happen.
Yeah. Moreover, for me, it was optimistic. I've not been determined about anything, but I've been like, I can do that next thing. And that next thing leads to the next thing, which leads to the next thing. And then I'm so far down the line, I forgot what I was afraid of. Right? Because there's always those things that loom larger. And if I can make it small and make it so that it's a doable task, I really can achieve anything. And that's the same way too, finding people in your life that you can ask for assistance. You know, I didn't know anything about the internet, but I was able to plug into a very small company back then. And by the time my son graduated high school, he started putzing around and doing website design. And now he designs our websites. And so it's finding the people that we can partner together. It's not absorbing what they can do. It's lifting them up, and they in turn lift me up. And now we have this business that's very viable, and it provides a lot of joy to a lot of people.
How many people total work for the company?
We have 10 people, and we're in 4 different countries. It's nice that we don't all have to be in the same geographic location. One of the biggest benefits that I see, we have a product that is highly giftable. So we do a lot of business in Q4. And so it becomes overwhelming at times. But I get up on Christmas Day and I think how many products of ours are under people's Christmas trees, are in gift bags, and that people are excited about giving this product to someone else. And that is what really gets me excited. The fact that we can offer them something that they want to give and they're so excited and passionate about as well.
Oh, yeah. And the products are beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Just beautiful.
Thank you.
One of my best friends actually has 2 alpaca pillows on his
Yes.
And he's just always like fascinated because he's like, I don't even have to wash these.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to wash them. They're naturally antimicrobial and they repel dust and dirt. And when you touch alpaca fur, it absorbs the heat from your body. So a bunch of years ago, this woman came onto my farm and I showed her the store and she saw our alpaca teddy bears. And she said, well, I'm vice president of Citizens National Bank and we've been wanting to do something with the community. So we worked together and we provided them with 25 alpaca teddy bears that they donated to an Alzheimer unit because people could hug them. It wasn't like a living dog where they had to be concerned about the welfare of the dog and the welfare of the person. They could have this teddy bear and hold on to it and feel the warmth and the care and the love. And it really, really made a difference. And so we did a video with us and an alpaca in the Alzheimer's unit for Citizens National Bank.
Wow.
And
so nice.
it still warms my heart.
Yeah. So rewarding.
It makes a difference. And, even something as trivial as alpaca makes a difference in people's lives.
Right.
And so, that gives me purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You never know how what you offer into the world is going to be used.
Right. Or just the timing of it. Or, we met at our chamber event.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So you never know who you're going to meet. I always say that, be open-minded, and someone may be able to share one piece of information for you that could change your life. Or
Opens doors.
just, elevate your business. So,
Yep.
and once again, just getting back to the collaborating and the connecting, right?
Yes.
And we talk about that a lot just in, our past interviews with other entrepreneurs is you just can't do a lot of things alone anymore, and having the support of one another to say, hey, I've already done that. Take a look at this. Maybe this will work for you.
Right. Today, the thing that supports me the most is those committee type of structures. I'm on conference calls with my team members, and I function better in a team than I do alone, because things that they say spark something in me, vice versa. Before you know it, something with its own soul has emerged.
Right. Like you're just building something together. Right?
Yes.
So it makes it more fun. Or if people are saying, oh, well, I thought about this, or I saw this. And I mean, there's so much information out there, right, that we can't really do everything anymore.
Right.
Even just all these platforms, you have to decide which platform makes the most sense for me personally, what I believe in, but also for my business.
Right.
Who's my target market? How am I going to attract that clientele?
Yep.
And, you got to test market.
Right.
So.
Well, and I've always been a huge proponent of don't jump in. Don't hold your nose and jump. Put a toe in. And if it feels okay, put an ankle in. And if it feels okay, sit on the side of the pool and dangle your feet. You don't have to jump all in at one time, because once you're completely wet, there's no place to go.
Mm-hmm.
But if you find there's piranhas in that pool, you can pull your legs out real quick.
Right.
So it's always been important to me to have, that type of flexibility. And same with the people that I'm working for, or with. The only idea that isn't valuable is the one I don't share, the one I don't listen to, the one I cast aside without giving it any type of breath.
Yeah. So do you ever do any coaching or mentoring? I mean, you've had such a successful business for a long time now. And I think I could see you being such a wonderful mentor.
I do some mentoring. So I was raised kind of organically in a methodology of service. And so that's one of the reasons why I was at the chamber. I'm vice president of our local chamber, because I was taught you give back and you do service work. And so I've been active in my church. I've been active in my community, and that's how I mentor. We've also had a lot of young people come and intern with us, and that's a wonderful way of mentoring as well, but also staying in touch with a younger demographic. Finding out what is important to them and really nurturing those seeds. I don't want to make little mini copies of me. I want to help them find their voice and their feet and their passion, and then they go off and do great things.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're with people for a few months, and other times it might be multiple years. But one of the things I know too is not everything lasts forever. And what do I do whenever things end? I've been really fortunate to learn that, whenever I was young, I used to say, well, I'll try anything twice, because who knows, the first time might be a fluke. And then I learned that I could watch other people's experiences and learn from their successes and failures. It's a lot less painful. It has a lot less financial
Yeah.
aspects to it. So, that's one of the things that I try to work with the people that I'm mentoring so that they can learn from other people's mistakes and take what works for you and leave the rest. And you don't have to take everything, nor should you.
And you said this, best earlier when we were talking just about knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
being able to walk away from anything and to continue to go on.
Yeah. That calm, still voice inside of you. I listen to my gut all the time.
Me too.
If I listen to my head and if I listen to my heart, it'll lead me astray. But if I listen to my gut, man, then I know I can trust. And if I have any issues, I can dabble that out there and say, hey, I was thinking about this. What do you think about it? If everybody says no, then there's strength in numbers. And maybe I need to reconsider if I'm the only one saying yes.
Yeah. I love that. Well, I am so glad you came in today.
Thank you for having us.
The time and
I love being here.
To check out the studio.
Yeah, it's wonderful and one of my favorite paintings, to be sure.
Right?
Yep, absolutely.
So how can we reach out to you if anyone wants to maybe intern, or obviously we know we can go to the website and you can also buy through Instagram. Do you have like ads?
We are on Instagram. We are also on Facebook. You can find us at Inca Brands, incabrands.com. You can also visit any one of our brands. We do Warrior Alpaca Socks. We do Inca Fashions, which is our apparel line. Alpaca Home is our home interiors line. We have a wide array of stores, and we're on Amazon as well. So Walmart is also another place that we carry our products. So you can find us pretty much anywhere, and we can always be reached via email or phone.
That's amazing.
Everything's
Congratulations.
on. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Kim. And next time we'll have some more fun entrepreneurs to kind of come tell you more stories about their beginnings. So stay tuned.
Thank you so much.